Welcome back to another Tuesday Jaw Time with Realtor Jeet. And today we have a special guest. His name is Jeff Short. He is a contemporary expert in the residential sales and sales leadership with over 3 decades of experience in selling, consulting, speaking, and teaching. Jeff has spoken to thousands of real estate professionals from San Francisco, New York, from Alberta to Abu Dhabi. Tens of thousands of sales professionals watch his weekly 5-minute sales training on YouTube. I will put that link in the comments as well. He is the author of 11 sales books, including the 4-2 Formula, How to Get Buyers Off the Fence and Into a Home, and this one that I just recently read and am applying everything that I read in here, buying the experience. Jeff is a certified speaking professional through the National Speakers Association and a fellow within the NSA's Million Dollar Speakers Group, comprised of the NSA's most successful members. When Jeff is not on an airplane, he enjoys playing hockey, reading a book a week. That's amazing, Jeff. Playing the bass guitar, volunteering as a board director for his local homeless coalition, and hanging out with his beautiful wife, Karen, of 35 years. Welcome to Jaw Time with Realtor Jeet, Jeff. Thank
Uh,
you. We are so honored and
it's my pleasure. And I have to tell you right away, I'm going to tell you that when an author sees a well-marked copy of his book, there's no greater joy. There's really not. So thank you very much. You do me great honor. Thank you.
oh, my pleasure. It's an honor having you here. Thank you for giving us, I know you're very busy, and to just give us this much time is just, I'm so super grateful.
My pleasure. Thank you.
What are the changes in the market affecting the mentality of 2022 home buyers, and what do we do about that today?
Yeah. Well, there's no question about it. If you think about being a home buyer over the last couple of years, I think know as well as anyone, it's been a
Mhm.
really rough task, right, to be a home buyer. The challenges have been immense. I would argue that it's been the hardest time ever to be a home buyer over the last couple of years. Now you come out of that and into this time of just question marks everywhere. And now you get the media stories that are starting to pop up, and people, you can't ignore the interest rate increases, and all that really does weigh on the customer. And then you start looking back and saying, I remember back what happened in 2008. And so, now are we going to have another fall? So it's a tough time to be a buyer. But I think the bottom line is that strong markets breed confidence, right? The market is strong, and so I adopt that confidence. If the market confidence goes away, if the market confidence starts to wane, in my opinion, that's where sales professionals step in. That's where real estate sales professionals step in, and they provide the customer with the confidence that they used to get from the market. That this is where we earn our money. This is when we provide the greatest value to our buyers, to have that story ready as to why this is still, they didn't miss the boat. This is an outstanding time to buy a home.
Oh, absolutely. Because we clearly see it when we're either putting in offers or we're listing the properties. And I mean, just last week we had an offer that went over $100,000.
Yeah,
It's still it's still going like that right now.
yeah, right.
And it's just crazy how much, like, there are buyers who are out and afraid to put an offer in and
Mhm,
wait
mhm.
now because the interest rate did go up.
Right.
So, especially for those, I just had this recently go on in one of my deals. We had a short sale where the offer was put in January, where they had a 2.8% interest rate, and they're still waiting months later, and it just jumped up to 5.8.
Right.
So they're like, I don't want to stay with this. So how
Yeah.
do we?
Yeah, you got two different types of buyers there that we're
Yeah.
talking about, right? There's a buyer who is, you go from 3 to 5.5,
Hmm.
and they just can't qualify anymore. No matter what happens, it can't be done. And we would call those people, frankly, non-buyers. I mean, if you just can no longer qualify, I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over not selling to
Yeah.
somebody who couldn't buy it in the first place.
Yep.
But I do think that might be 15, 20% of the market of the bottom end of the market at the most. I think most buyers, it's just fear. It's just the perception that they somehow missed out. So one of the really important things that we can do then is to keep customers first focused. What I talked about before, you got to live in the right home above everything else. Don't get caught on this. You got to live in the right home. But
Yeah.
then beyond that, if you take an interest rate of say 5.5%, well, how does that compare over the last 50 years? And the fact of the matter is, it compares really,
Mhm.
really well. So
Yeah.
if you have a chart that shows, here's our all-time high back in
Yeah.
1981 when interest rates were at 18.6%. Our all-time low happened in January of 2021 when they were at about 2.65, not for very long, by the way. And then where are we today? We're not that far off the bottom. And then
Mhm.
when we look at it, we say, well, is there more room for rates to go up or to go down? And given what's happening with our inflation rates, given what's happening with the way the federal government is spending money, and given the words that we're getting from the Fed itself, I think there's a pretty good chance that the interest rates are going to go higher.
That's amazing, Jeff. I really love that because that's something that you do go over in this book and the
Yeah,
Fortune Formula, is engaging the buyer into that. Where are they moving from?
right.
What are they moving from? Why they're leaving their current situation into into the better situation that they're looking for, the solution.
Hmm. Yeah, right.
Uh,
But I would argue that most salespeople, like, if you think about you think about a typical realtor at an open house,
yeah,
and we're going to meet somebody for the first time, and we're going to be asking them. So let me just ask you, how many bedrooms are you looking for, and what square footage, and one or two stories, and do you have a home to sell, and are you working with a realtor now? And I'm not saying that that's not important information, but it's not the most important piece of
mhm,
information. The most important piece of information is, why are you thinking about moving in the first place? And if I figure out just why you're moving and a little bit about your life, the rest of the story is going to roll out right in front of me. But I think we oftentimes ask a lot of product based questions about what they're looking for without really fully understanding what they're coming from.
what they're coming from, absolutely. And uh, guilty. When I
No,
started,
we've all been guilty of that. Absolutely, no question about it. Yeah, yeah,
when I started, that's literally what we were taught.
yeah.
In
Right.
the
Me too. Me
beginning.
too. Yeah,
And then as I started reading and learning and read mostly like self-development books and really digging into the why, and our mutual friend Bob Berg had mentioned this book to me, three.
yeah.
So if Bob mentions a book, I read it, and
Yeah.
I apply it.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
started switching my verbiage to the why.
And,
Really,
and would you admit that it's just more fun to ask questions about people's life than it is just to ask about their bedroom count?
oh, it's always more fun.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's always like I normally get to that when I meet with
Hmm.
with the buyer.
Yeah,
This time I actually do it when I'm on the phone with them.
that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah.
And you get to learn, okay, this is why this person, like I have someone who has two daughters that are going into college, and it's important to be around there. So now, like, I know what she's looking for. She wants
Hmm.
space. She wants her daughters to have their, semi independence as well. So I mean, like, to learn all of this, and then we had something in common because I have my son going to college too. So it was just like it got us to it was us being relatable with each other.
Sure. But it's such important information. I mean, when you think about what this person is going through with their daughters going up to college, she's in this time in her life
Yeah.
that's changing right now. So it's not just about her daughters, it's what's going on in your life in this new season, and how are you going to redefine that? And
Yeah.
these are all the things that help us to connect with the buyer, but they literally help us to find them the right home.
Right.
Right, right. And I can look at it and say, this home fits into your lifestyle this way,
This
uh,
way.
as compared to, well, here it is, just like you said, three bedrooms, 1,800 square feet. What do you think? I mean, it's not the, it's not, it's, there's nothing charming about that. There's nothing that's particularly helpful about that.
Yeah. And then absolutely, the buyer's like, wow, you understand me.
Right.
You understand
Can I
my.
just tell you, that's so important.
Mhm.
To me, I can think of few compliments that I would rather get from my buyer than, oh, that guy gets me. Or
Yeah.
from my seller, that person understands the joy that I put into this home, the love that I put into this home, and the joy I've received from it over the years. It's not just a matter of how do I get my highest price on a listing. It's a question of, does this person appreciate all that this home has to offer? And so when I hear that from a client, this person gets me. I think this is the highest praise we can receive.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree. Thank you so much for that, Jeff Shore. And I appreciate those tips because I do apply it, and it does. It helps so much with it's more fun doing your work,
Sure.
and you get to understand your client and get to serve them at a higher level. And you get
Right.
to say, I get to serve my client at a higher level
Yeah.
and genuinely say it.
It's just a more enjoyable way to do business. It really is.
Oh, it is, absolutely. So now how do we keep people, well, how I asked you how are the changes affecting? So how
Yeah.
do we keep people engaged when they're otherwise looking about holding off to see what happens, again, based on what we just spoke about with the concerns of the interest rate?
Yeah, right. Well, I think part of it is that when you're thinking about buying a home or selling a home, either way,
Mhm.
it's an all-consuming thought process. You think about it all the time, and especially if you're a buyer right now, right? And you got shut out on a couple, you bid over full price, you didn't get it, you're waiting for the right home to come along. You think about this all the time.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about it and you're feeling all alone when you do it, then you start to feel like, man, nobody gets me, nobody understands.
Mm.
And for that reason, we have to double down on our communication. Now, the problem is that we often look at it and say, well, I don't really have anything meaningful to share right now, so I'm not going to call at all. And that's a big mistake. We have to make sure that we are reaching out to our clients, even when we have nothing new to share about the process. There may be no new listings that have come up that you want to see, but that doesn't mean that I can't reach out and just see how you're doing, and maybe share some information about what's going on around town. And here's a little market update. I think we need to over communicate at times when our customer is going through time of frustration. Otherwise, we're going to abandon them and leave them feeling like they're all on their own, and nobody wants to feel that
I love that, Jeff. It's not just about sending out because sometimes we can get overflooded with mailers.
way.
Um,
Totally, 100%.
so
But if you're looking, you're saying, hey, you're thinking about moving to this area or even to this new neighborhood in a region that you already know, but where are the great restaurants and who
yeah,
do you need to meet? And oh, you got kids who play soccer? Well, here's the number of the person over at AYSO. This is when their soccer side. But just dripping that little information out there to say, let's keep you prepared. I found this great video on color trends if you want to repaint some of the walls. And just those deposits along the way go a long way towards keeping you connected and letting that person know, even if you don't have any updates to share with them by way of where they're going to live, hey, they still care for me.
so I if you guys are hearing what Jeff's just said, don't just bombard your clients with mailers that are meaningless. Send them something that are meaningful to them.
Yeah,
Am I right?
I completely agree. And by the way, that might also include just picking up your smartphone here,
Mhm.
putting it on video, and recording just a really brief message. And I can look at it and say, oh, hey, listen, I'm out for a hike today, and I just thought I'd want to show you where this hiking trail is, and send it that to them. Or if you're looking at it, you're walking down the street and you see a poster for the Art and Wine Festival coming up, pull out your smartphone, say, hey guys, I was just thinking about you. We've got an Art and Wine Festival coming up. I'm going to be there. I hope you're going to be there too. This is a great chance to meet your neighbors in the area. I mean, it'll take you 15 seconds. It'll cost you absolutely nothing. And it will prove to these people that you care more than anybody else, that you care not just about getting the sale, you care about their life.
Yeah. And you genuinely do. You
Yeah,
actually
totally.
authentically
Yeah,
do.
100%. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, if you wouldn't do it if you didn't. So, and
right,
there are a
right,
lot of people who don't do it because they don't want to or they don't
right.
feel comfortable. You genuinely feel like this, you will, and your customers are, they're your customers, and they know that you are looking out for their best interest, and
Absolutely.
that is just amazing. So, what can salespeople today do to stay mentally strong in this challenging time?
Well, that's an important question, and I think one of the things we have to understand is, we're working with sellers, we're working with buyers. What do they need? And I think that one of the things that great salespeople do really well is that they give out positive energy. It's one of the most
Mhm.
important things. If I'm looking to hire a great salesperson, it's one of the first things I'm going to look at is how positive are they. I don't mean necessarily high energy, although they might be. I'm just saying that they're very positive people. They're very engaging people, right? We use at Shore Consulting, we use the term coffee worthy, the idea that you always have to be coffee worthy. And I talk about this in the book, but what it means is that you want to be the type of person that somebody would want to have a cup of coffee with. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Well, that's where that positive energy comes into play. Now, having said that, if you're tasked with giving out positive energy all day long, well, you better be eating positive energy for breakfast, and you better be fueling on it all throughout the day. You have to, you're on your way to an appointment, you're on your way to the office, whatever it is. Turn off the news. It's going to be negative. I'm going to tell you right now. Just fuel on positive, fuel on upbeat. The most important thing you can do is bring positive energy into that conversation. But it also means, and this is very, very difficult for realtors, and I get this. I was a realtor for many, many years. You got to find ways to step aside. You got to find times to shut it down. You can't be thinking about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because as a realtor, your most valuable resource is your creative mind. And all of the research says the same thing. The creative mind needs rest. It needs time to set aside. So, I'm just thinking back. I remember as a realtor, one of the things that I would do when I get really frustrated is that we had a driving range not far from my office. And I would go down and I'd hit a bucket of golf balls. And the thing that was interesting about it is I'd tee up the first ball and I'd go, I'm so frustrated. I'm going to take it out on this ball. Well, the ball would dribble off 10 feet to the right, and then I couldn't hit the ball straight until I calmed down. And that
Mhm.
little respite right there put me in a much more creative mindset by the time I got back to work. We've got to find times to be able to rest our brain a little bit.
I love that, Jeff. I do my daily in the morning. I do before I do anything. I do my prayers.
Yeah,
Uh,
me
and,
too. Absolutely.
and after even after my prayers, I throughout the day I look for at least 1 minute to 5 minutes for self like conscious breathing, so
Yeah,
that I can like it can just clear and refresh my mind. I'm a mother of three, and I have I have my in-laws living with me. I'm doing my businesses, and it could be a lot at sometimes. But
yeah,
that little bit of advice that you just gave can take someone so far, because just
yeah,
that 5 minute or 1 minute self-consciousness and breathing in and out, clearing your mind does help our creativeness. Because you're right, that is this is what creates our business. This is what helps us grow is our
yeah,
creative
yeah.
thinking.
And we have a draining job. There's no question
Yes.
about it. I mean, we give and we give and we give, and you have to refill the tank. And as you say, you can do it even in little doses throughout the day. But you got to stay mentally strong. It's critical.
Oh, that is so important. And I'm still working on it.
Yeah, me too. It's a work in progress, I admit. Yeah, yeah,
But it's important. That's the
yeah,
key thing, is to take that time out and not to think about it 24/7, because a lot of
yeah,
realtors do that's 24/7 on their mind, and you
right,
end up seeing I'm drinking a glass of wine because I need that wine, or I'm doing this
yeah,
because I need that. So
right,
it that's really important.
yeah, it's
Jeff,
critical.
how can Team Jeet or the
Hmm.
audience out here, if they wanted to reach you or learn from you,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
we really appreciate your time, um, how can we reach out to you or learn from you?
Sure. Two ways to do that. One is you can find all things at jeffshore.com. And so that's the books, and you can sign up for the newsletter. Sorry, it's not a newsletter, it's a video training. We put out what's called our 5 minute sales training every Saturday morning. So you can sign up for a 5 minute sales training. It'll come right to your inbox on Saturday mornings. The other thing that you can do is we have an app. It's called Sales 365. It's healthy social media for real estate sales professionals. It's free. You go to your app store, go to Sales 365, download it, join the conversation. We'd love to have you on the app. We keep it very, very positive. We put in polls and training and and just hey, what's going on out there? Casual conversations. We do some contests as well, but that's all at Sales 365.
Sales 365, the App
Yep,
Store.
there you
And
go.
also jeffshore.com. I go to jeffshore.com all the time. And I've also subscribed to your YouTube channel,
Cool.
and I have been watching the 5 minute sales training, and that's one of the things that you were just talking about, which was uh, how to start your day.
Yep.
And now, I mean, that's how I'm going to start my day, with 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes of Bob, and now I'm going to get 5 minutes of Jeff.
You're not going to go wrong with 5 minutes of Bob. I can promise you that right there. One of the great guys on the planet.
No, you're not. This is why
Yeah,
I call it, a cup of Bob in the mornings. I'm gonna have a
yeah,
cup of Jeff
yeah,
also,
yeah.
because now I have, the positive mindset for life, and then you have positive mindset for sales, and
There you go.
you
Yep.
are in you are in the field of real estate, so it's gonna just help 10 times.
There you
And
go.
so Jeff, what can you like tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do? We know what you do, but like,
Yeah,
what do you like, and what do you do in
yeah.
your spare time?
Well, I mean, I love life. I really, really do. I think I'm the happiest person I know. I just I'm very, very blessed. We got six grandgirls. Just love spending time with the grandgirls. It's a lot of fun. You mentioned at the top that I play hockey a couple of nights a week. That sort of keeps me in shape. Very active in my church. I'm on the pastoral staff of my church. I'm pursuing a degree in theology right now. Play the bass guitar here a little bit here and there. Love to read. I just sort of take the attitude that life is a buffet and I want to die full. So I want to do a lot of different things. I'm only 60 years old. I got a lot of life still left to live in front of me. So I really want to explore all that God has for me in this life.
Oh, that's amazing. I really love that. And this is the type of people you do want to follow, because I was just had this conversation, Jeff, yesterday with one of my partners. And I said, just imagine if we're doing this right now. I'm 36, 37. I'm 37. And I'm like, if I'm doing this now, I started at 34.
Hmm.
I can imagine, when I'm 64, where is that going to take me 30 years from now?
Yeah,
Just starting,
right.
working on myself and doing all of these.
Well, one of the things I'll tell you, my coach had me do something really, really interesting. This was many years ago, but it still stuck with me. We sat down and we said, "Here you are on this particular day." And so, if you're watching this right now, you can use this today as the day. Go back 10 years and describe what your life looked like 10 years ago. Where were you living? What were you doing? What was your family situation? How much money were you making? Whatever it was. What was your life like 10 years ago? Now compare it to where you are today. Okay. Take that measure of change and apply it 10 years into the future. And then ask the question, where will you be? I mean, we change a lot in 10 years. So if we do that and we say, well, I did that in 10 years, what if I did exactly the same amount of change in the next 10 years? And now you start planning out a very bright future indeed. The good news is that you're not going to have the same level of change. You're actually going to have a lot more because you're smarter, you're wiser. You learned a lot in the last 10 years that will help you exponentially to grow in the next 10 years. So that's the way that I look at it. Everything that's happened in my life has brought me to this point, and now I get to say, "Cool, what next? Let's go do something big and meaningful." That's what gets me up in the morning.
And that's so amazing. And you're so energetic. It's like my daughter, she was telling me, the 5-year-old, she goes, Mom, you're ancient. I'm like, no, I'm not.
No, no, no. But see, here's the thing. Somebody once said that old is always 15 years older than you are. That's always 15 years older than you are. That's old.
That's
And
all.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So to her, a 20-year-old is ancient, right? So yeah,
Oh,
don't worry about it.
that makes sense. I was like,
Yeah,
but I don't want to, whatever. She's the cutest, and
yeah,
I just love to learn more, and I want to be energetic 30, 40 years
yeah,
from
sure. No
now. And
doubt about it. Yeah, yeah.
so this is so helpful of what you've been teaching us all along. I have Catherine Quinn here. She says, I'm excited to start following Jeff Shore. great content today.
Thanks, Catherine.
Again, we appreciate you so much coming on board. We know how busy and precious your time is. And just to close out, I always love to have my guests close out. And what one advice would you give to the audience?
I would I would say that your standards are not what you desire. Your standards are what you accept. So as you're thinking through how you want to live your life, how you want to do your job, how you want to raise your kids, whatever it happens to be, everybody has this idea of these are my standards. But if you're not living them out, they're not your standards. And so, let your life be that testimony of the person that you want to be. Just live the type of life that proves your standards. It's not on what you talk about, it's what you live out. Live your standards.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Jeff, again for joining us here at Draw Time with Realtor Jeet. I will be
There you
sending
go.
one of these out to you as
Look
well.
forward to it. Look forward to it. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, Jeff. Just me one moment. Bye, guys. We love you so much. Thank you again for joining us at Realtor Jeet Live.